What is up guys, Andy Forrest, Team Runner here, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm giving you guys my first impressions of the Nike Pegasus Trail 3 Gore-Tex. There we go, nice easy run done and dusted in the Peg Trail 3s. Excited to give you guys my thoughts on this shoe. It's been out for quite a while now, but I'm delighted to have it in hand and give you guys my thoughts and feedback on this shoe. It was perfect weather for testing out the Gore-Tex upper, torrential rain and good old-fashioned trails. Loved it out there. We'll share my thoughts with you on the shoe shortly. Quick disclosure, this one has indeed been provided to me by ProDirect Running. However, they have no editorial rights over the content and they will not see my thoughts before you guys see it on here. And as always, my first impressions, we'll go through a technical overview before diving in to my first impressions. So if you're excited for today, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the tech. So we'll kickstart by saying I went true to size in this shoe. UK size 13, slightly snugger than normal Nike shoes that I test in that size. Normally have a full thumb width. I'd say I've probably got about half a thumb width in this thing, but overall still fits perfectly. We have a 9.5 according to Nike's website. Millimeter heel to toe drop, 24.5 of stack in the heel, 15 in the forefoot, and in my UK size 13 it comes in at 415 grams or 14.6 ounces. And as always, we'll work our way from the heel counter area, talk about that ankle collar area, the tongue, the lacing, the upper, the midsole, and then we will move on to the outsole. So let's start with this ankle collar heel area. Very, very rigid, very, very firm. The first thing that struck me was this extra overlay at the top here. Obviously it's on there to protect your feet getting rocks and debris down in whilst you're on the trails. I found it actually quite good, to be honest with you. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the weather shortly. This shoe did really well. Obviously I went through some really deep puddles. Obviously if you're going to go up and over your ankle, you're going to get water in there, but on the whole my feet stayed dry as a bone, and this really did help stop any debris and really water going down, any splashes. Let's say this is more splash proof. As I said, if you really go in ankle deep, water's going to get in there somehow, but in terms of splash proof and all of that, it was fantastic. In the upper I went really deep in this shoe and it was great. So this worked really well. It does, as you can see, kind of flare up into the back of your leg, but actually it doesn't rub on anything. It's very, very light material. It's kind of like a wetsuit material, very stretchy, very, very comfy. Rigid heel counter, nice and solid there to give you some support. It's very hard to see, but we've got that classic bumper padding and around the heel and ankle collar that you see in so many Nike shoes. Feels exactly the same as like in the Next Percent and all the other shoes. It's just kind of like a trademark, I think, that they have. I say it every single time, but the same type of padding is there as well. A little bit thinner padding along the bottom and along the top, but where that bumper is, it just allows you to slot your ankle in nicely and lock you in. In terms of the tongue is not fully gusseted. I'd say it's half gusseted. It kind of attaches around halfway down, so around here down the lacing chain. The rest of it kind of obviously moves around. It's quite a wide tongue, hard for you to see, but it's quite wide, really wraps over the top of your foot. Again, just that if any debris did get in, it really does make a good effort to not let any slide down the sides. It just wrap and hug around your foot nicely. And as I said, it attaches around halfway down the laces to the inside inside of this upper here. Nice and cushioned, not too cushioned, but a nice bit of padding in along just underneath there, right there over the top of your foot, so that when you do cinch the laces down, you've got some good comfort over the top of the foot. In terms of the lacing, there's a lot going on in the lacing. It's a good standard lacing system, but we've got a few little overlays here, I'm guessing just to help cinch down, and we've got some extra eyelet holes there. I'm going to say on this shoe, the laces are indeed long enough, I found, to do extra. I always do that test before I lace up. I don't usually use the extra eyelets, but I'd like to do a quick test to see if the laces are long enough. These are, so that's good. If you need to use the extra eyelet holes there, you can. But on the whole, I had a really perfectly suitable lockdown without using them, and overall that first bit felt really, really good. Gore-Tex upper, as I said, I went through some really deep puddles, and I made a point of going through deep puddles. My feet didn't get wet once, which is great. As I said, this bit at the back here kept the splashes from going down my ankles. This just was completely waterproof, completely different to something like the Endorphin Speed 2 Run Shield, which I'd say is more splash proof. This felt fully waterproof. It was great, and what a day to test it out on. The heavens opened and it went mad out there, so it was great to test. As you can see, a lot of mud still there on the midsole. So overall, really happy with that, and quite a reinforced here toe guard. Nothing crazy, still quite flexible, but kind of a rubbery material over the top there. So overall, good scores for the top, felt comfortable, nice note, you know, just works. Midsole, React midsole. Heavy stuff, you know the drill, but it feels different. We're going to talk about that shortly, but it's full length React midsole, durability through the roof. You know what it's like. If you're talking New Balance, I had this conversation with someone in the comments the other day when I reviewed the 880 version 12. If you talk about New Balance, their fresh foam is Nike's version of React, and their fuel cell is Nike's version of ZoomX. It's the more reliable, durable foam. Less exciting, more durability. You know you're going to get a long life out of React midsoles. They just last forever. So it's full length React, and then we have multi-directional lugs on the outside. Really actually quite impressed with this. Although the lugs are quite small, and this is kind of more commuter trail shoe and light trails, certainly not aggressive trails, but light trails, I'm impressed with the grip that I got with it, even out on that wet conditions. The multi-directional lugs, they work really well. In comparison to the Fuji Light 2, the Asics Fuji Light 2s, I found those work really well as well. So really happy with that outsole. In terms of the tech, that's about it. So let's give you guys my first impressions of the shoe. How was the first run? How did I find it? I'm going to break this down into a bit more of a simplistic bullet points, good and bad, pros and cons. How did I find it? Well, I'm going to start off with the pros. I'm going to start off by saying I'm quite surprised in how I found the React in this shoe. It feels different, and I don't quite know why. I messaged Tim Gross, a fellow YouTuber, great chap. He got these shoes in my size as well. Obviously weight is a con, we're going to talk about that shortly. I'm not a fan, as you guys know, of the Pegasus 37s and 38s. Not a shoe I particularly enjoy. Plenty of other daily trainers out there which I much prefer, and that's mainly down to the React midsole. It just feels flat and lifeless. But there's something different about these, and I don't know what it is. And I messaged him and I asked him that, and he said, yeah, it does feel a bit different, which I'm glad he kind of, you know, was singing off the same hymn sheet a little bit with me. I mean, he's got his own thoughts. He's done videos on these shoes before, so you can go and check those out. But it was just nice to hear that he did find it slightly different. I don't know if he feels as much different as I do. But I was running in it thinking, this doesn't feel like the normal React. Yes, all right, it's not ZoomX, it's not lively, it's not poppy, but that's not the purpose of it. It's meant to be durable, it's going to be a bit heavy, but it did feel like it had a little bit more bounce in it than the normal Pegasus. So I was quite surprised at that, and actually breathed a sigh of relief because I was a little bit concerned. So that is a big pro for me, really happy. And in terms of comfort, just a big thumbs up for the comfort. It's a comfortable shoe. I enjoyed running in it. I think from all the way from the heel counter, the upper, and just not getting my feet wet. It was just nice to have dry feet when you come home from a run like that and your whole body is drenched, but your feet are bone dry. So in terms of the Gore-Tex and the weatherproofing and all of that stuff, it works. It's not a gimmick. It really does work. So I did enjoy myself in this shoe. I think the main con to talk about with this thing is the weight. As we know, and I've expressed a few times, React gets heavier in the bigger sizes. I feel like exponentially it gets heavier. And so like like with Pegasus, when you compare it to other shoes, you're talking like 380 odd grams compared to some of the normal shoes like the 1080s and the Nova Blast around the 340s, 350s. That's kind of an acceptable weight for me, and I felt like the Road Pegasus just tip over a little bit. And again, if I look at the Asics Fuji Light 2, something in the mid 350s range, I kind of look at that and go, that's where I'd love to see this shoe. Just kind of shave a bit of weight off and come back down into that bracket, because I feel like when I was running it, I thought, yeah, all right, I've done 70 minutes in this today. How much longer do I feel like I could run in this shoe? And I'm thinking like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. But if you're an ultra runner and you're out there doing big 3, 4, 5 hour long days, I'm not 100% sure this would be my shoe of choice. I just feel like it might get a little bit too heavy and a bit too cumbersome. I might want something a bit more like the Fuji Light, where it's a little bit lighter. But I feel like this actually does have a purpose. I feel like it's going to serve a really good purpose. As I said, I'm going into a trail training block, and I can foresee myself using this alongside the Fuji Light 2 kind of combined, which is a good thing. I kind of, as I said, I was a little bit worried about getting it, but now I've got it and I've got it on feet and I'm out there testing it. Yeah, it's a little bit heavy. Yes, it's not ideal, but it doesn't feel quite the weight that it is, if that makes sense. So I think in terms of commuting trail shoes, this is right up there. It's a good one. And I feel like for those of you out there who are smaller in size to me, you're going to get a good bang for your buck. It's not going to be quite as weighty as it is in my size. And I feel like you're going to get a really comfortable shoe that you can run on the pavements, then run on the trails. As I said, a commuter shoe, a bit of a mix and match. And again, another pro, the grip, I was really impressed. It was obviously quite slick and slippery out there. Didn't feel unsafe in the slightest anywhere out on that run. So I've got to say, overall, this thing has met my expectations and just gone a little bit above, which is good, because my expectations weren't the highest because of testing the Road Pegasus, as you can understand. I had the Peg 36 Trail, loved that shoe, had the Cushlon midsole, beautiful trail shoe, absolutely amazing. Didn't try the Peg 2, didn't try, well, now trying the Peg 3. So overall, got to say, really quite positively impressed with this thing. So there we go, those are my thoughts on the Nike Peg Trail 3 Gore-Tex. Surprisingly good, met my expectations, happy with it, pleased that it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. In fact, as I said, it's punched a little bit above its weight. So excited to get more miles in it later in the summer. We'll see how the weight thing goes. Obviously, I'm going to take it on longer runs just to see how that is, but that's going to be in a good month or two's time. So stay tuned. I'll give you more give you guys more updates as training progresses, and I will get some more miles in this shoe. So as I said, bar the weight, which is a little bit disappointing. A big thumbs up for me, happy to get more miles in it, and yeah, excited to share with you what the challenge is going to be with Pro Direct in this shoe later this week. That's it from me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.